Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the East Riding of Yorkshire series. Together with the unparished city of Hull, it forms the county of the same name. There's 172 parishes here. Which one are we in today? Welcome back to the glorious East Riding of Yorkshire, folks. That sun has come up over the past couple of episodes that you've seen in this series, and it's stayed up. It is absolutely beautiful out here at the moment. So let's get to this place. This one's a small one, and it ends with 4 letters, W-I-C-K, and sometimes in the East Riding that's pronounced wick. In other cases it's ick, it omits the W. I think in this case it's wick, which would make this the parish of Catwick. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like, and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Here's a lovely little place on the road between Leven and Hornsea. This is Catwick, or is it maybe Cattick, who knows. Once again, it's another that lies on the A1035. We're becoming quite accustomed to that road now. Catwick is actually 2 villages, which are effectively contiguous. There's Catwick itself, but there's also Little Catwick, a small cluster of buildings and farms off Church Lane. The name Catwick is Anglian and probably means the dairy farm of Catta and his people. It's built along both sides of the A1035, which here is known as Main Street. Most of its buildings are of brick and were built in the 19th and 20th centuries. Now, despite the fact that the signs at both ends of the village feature a soldier, this is one of only 5 thankful villages in Yorkshire, those rare places that suffered no fatalities during World War I. It's also considered doubly thankful because it also suffered no fatalities in World War II either. That said, it did once have a memorial honouring those who served in the war. There were 30 men, and for each of them a coin was nailed to a wooden plank by the village blacksmith. It's no longer here because it was removed and is currently in the possession of his grandson. Even so, that's one of those quirky little tales which you don't find everywhere. Let's see what other little secrets we can uncover in this tiny place that most people just drive through. We begin on Main Street at a bus stop. Given what we've learned about buses around here already, it'll be no shock to you that the number 25 stops here. On the wall of the shelter there's a commemoration to the life and reign of Queen Elizabeth II. There are 2 of these, the other is at Catwick's western end. Heading west, we come to an old school. This was built in 1847 on land given by the Reverend Charles Constable. It was sold in 1960 and later used as a private house. Most of the older houses in Catwick are on Main Street. These include Postbox Cottage, which is on your screen right now. Ironically, the postbox is actually next door, set into the wall of what looks like a former shop. I would imagine Catwick's post office was somewhere close to here at one time. Over the road we have Northcroft Garage. This is the base of commercial vehicle repair specialist A.E. Blake, who were founded in 1962. They also offer caravan storage. Okay, so far so good. I've just hopped into one of these brick bus shelters. Very rare you find a brick bus shelter. They're usually made of wood or plastic or that perspex stuff. which is easily breakable, I must admit. But these things aren't going anywhere. Brick bus shelters are designed to last. Okay, our next job is to take a left turn and we're heading for the village hall. On the wall of the village hall we have the parish notice board. Catwick is in the books. 71 left now in the East Riding of Yorkshire. The village hall was built in 1987 and it occupies the same site as a former recreation hut, which served the village from 1920 onwards. I'd say this is a marked improvement. Next we turn onto Church Lane, which is Catwick's back lane if you will. Looks like dog walkers use this a lot. The locals even provide water for them. This patch of grass looked interesting. It's surrounded by some saplings, suggesting this will soon look very different. Just a guess, but I reckon this will soon be some kind of orchard. We continue along Church Lane, where we come across some older, much more grander houses, like Providence House for example. Amazingly, none of these are listed. This is also the road where both Wesleyan and Primitive Methodist chapels were built in the mid-19th century. Okay, so about halfway up that shallow hill you find the Church of St Michael. Here it is, standing prominently above most of the village. Let's go in via the little footpath and talk about this next. This is St Michael's Church, which was mentioned in the Domesday Book but was rebuilt in 1862. Only its tower dates from an earlier period, in this case the 15th century. It stands on an elevated piece of ground. It has a small stone figure dating from either the 11th or possibly early 12th century, which is believed to represent St Michael. It's set into the north wall of the chancel. The church was built using largely the same plan as its predecessor, and it reused much of its materials. One thing this churchyard offers is a magnificent view. If you stand in front of the nave and look south, this is what you'll see. I love the East Riding. Next to the church is the rectory, which was mostly rebuilt in 1862 to designs by George Wilkinson of Hull. It was sold off in 1954 as the rector moved to Leven. And that brings us to the end of the road where we turn back to the north. This road isn't suitable for HGVs, but that doesn't stop them using it. Okay, we're almost all the way around. Just need to hop out of the way of this lorry that's coming down. It's very narrow down here. Come on, mate. See what I mean? There's not a lot of room between him and the edge of the road, is there? That's the nature of Catwick for you, though. Main street's all right, but the rest of it very, very narrow. So as I was saying, we are almost all the way around the village. Nice little small one, an easy loopy walk, not really one that I've got to put too much effort into. There are no sort of what I call extraterrestrial bits in this one. It's just basically the main walk. I can't see anything on the map that's of interest further afield than the main village itself. So if there is, I'm sure you'll fill me in below. But other than that, that's been the parish of Catwick, and I do hope you have enjoyed it. There's not a cloud in that sky, so I think the next one is going to look just as beautiful as this. I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot. This has been the parish of Catwick, and I'm out.